for 7 different winners so far in the 8 Days of Thunder races. And judging by the action we've seen this series, there's every chance we'll see another different face on the top step of the podium today in round 9. And I'm standing with the youngest one of those 7 winners, Ollie Player. Ollie, your win must have been fantastic for you.
It was a great feeling for me and for the Liberty X Team West Tech boys. Done a great job and got a win, but it was a shame about the second race, really.
There was a chance of 2 in a row, which would have been superb.
Yeah, I mean, we were leading the second one by quite a margin. Then just things happened for a reason and we weren't able to win that one, but we're hoping for a good race this time and we're going to go for it again.
Okay, well, you raced so well at the last meeting that the readers of Autosport magazine have voted you the driver of the day. Well done, Ollie.
Thank you very much, and to all the readers and to all the supporters.
Okay, now let's take a look at those championship standings. So Ollie there currently stands in 7th place. Ben Collins, the current champion, has jumped up from 6th to 4th, keeping slim hopes alive of retaining his title. 4 podium places in a row means John Mickle is up a place to 3rd, and John Stewart's continuing great form this season sees him sitting behind the man they all have to beat, Stevie Hodgson. And here he is, the man of the moment, Stevie Hodgson, championship leader. You've been there or thereabouts right the way through. Is it yours?
No, not yet. Still 4 races to go yet, but we're in a good position. We've just got to keep finishing. But, you know, anything can happen in Days of Thunder.
And qualifying this weekend, most of the experts thought that you were just going to take it nice and easy, nice and steady. No, you put your foot down and went like a bat out of hell.
Yeah, I mean, the guys did a great job, and the Monopoly Chevrolet's on pole, which is even better. We want to try and keep out of trouble, so the best place to do that is up front.
We are there with a chance, but if Stevie just keeps his nose out of trouble, or keeps himself out of trouble, he's gonna be wrapping it up, isn't he now? So, but you know, as we say, he hasn't had a bad one yet, so perhaps he can have a breakdown, and then we'll nick a few points off him.
I think Stevie Hodgson in a Monopoly car has won the championship. I think he just got to finish his last 4 races, and I think he's won it. I think the second spot, we just need to keep finishing, and hopefully the rest just have a couple of bad results, and we can hopefully nick second.
Ben, you're lying in 4th place in the championship at the moment with 4 races to go. Any chance?
I think it'd be difficult. I think we were unfortunate to have our points taken away earlier in the year, and that certainly set us back in the championship. But really looking forward to the Haviland 100. So it's my sponsor's race. Hope to do a good job today, and you know, get somewhere high up in the championship.
As you said, it's your sponsor's race today, and unfortunately you totaled their car in the wall in practice on Friday, didn't you?
Yeah, we're really unfortunate. Basically crashed on some oil during practice, and they completely destroyed the car. So the boys did a 24-hour shift, more than that, to get a new car ready, or a new old car, and patched it up and sent me out. So we've got did a couple of laps in a free practice yesterday, but the first time it'll go out in anger will be in the first race. Gentlemen, start your engine! We are indeed rocking here on Rockingham.
Right, we are ready for round 9. Let's hand you over to our commentators, Paul Marcel and Steve Slater.
Well, thank you, Helen, and this is the challenge that the drivers face. 1.5 mile bank track, 7.5 degree banking in the corners means you carry the speed. Average lap 150 miles an hour.
And here's the grid for you. Stevie Hodgson on pole, as we heard, with Anthony Swan alongside him.
Ollie Player and Ian McKellar Jr. on row 2.
On row 3, John Stewart and Steve Hobday.
Followed by Colin White and Chris Cook.
Back on row 5, we find John Mickle and John Higgins.
And completing the dozen, it's Sean Richardson and Mark Proctor.
Well, back in 13th and 14th, Burgess and Rob Speak.
Then it's Mike Luck and Phil Weaver.
And on row 9, Malcolm Klein and Peter Folding.
And completing the 20, Skid Carrera and Ben Collins with his rebuilt car, and Tony King at the back.
Yeah, so some tough decisions to be made for Ben Collins, how he's going to work his way through the pack. These are some of the onboard views we'll get in our stunning coverage of the Haviland 100 for you. And that's the view we have from Anthony Swan right up front on the outside of row 1, alongside poleman Stevie Hodgson.
Now watch the man on the gantry with the flags. The green flags wave. We have 60 laps of racing ahead of us. And already diving across on the inside there, Ian McKellar Jr. very aggressive in his move there to take third place. It opens up a little bit of a gap between the top three. Stevie Hodgson, Anthony Swan, Ian McKellar Jr. from Ollie Playle.
And look at them behind for something like 7th and 8th place, a whole gaggle of them. A reminder that the pit stop window, compulsory pit stop of course, on laps 29 and 30, that's half distance.
Now Ollie Playle is the man on the move with the Reebok Liberty X car. The silver and white car on the right of our screens goes down the inside of Anthony Swan, and Swan taking it cautiously on these opening laps.
Always a wonder which Ollie Playle we're going to get. Looks like we've got the fast and quick and sensible one here today. Stevie Hodgson leads at lap 1, McKellar Jr. up to second, Playle with a stunning start in third, and Anthony Swan, John Stewart and Colin White round out the top 6.
But we've got one car in trouble down in the pits.
You've got a big rubber way down the side. The air needs to come off.
Well, the number 20 car is obviously the car in trouble there, rubbing down the wall on the opening lap, but also dramas here at the start. Just seeing a replay of the start, and there is a steward's investigation on the number 25 car. Did Ian McKellar Jr. overtake before the start-finish line?
Yeah, we're getting news that there are actually 3 drivers being investigated for out-of-position starts. Meanwhile, Ben Collins has his hands full with Rob Speak, but Stevie Hodgson, the race leader, under pressure from his DSI same-day teammate, and that is Ian McKellar Jr. But as Steve just said, he's under investigation for an out-of-position start.
Now, 2 cars really on the move, still in 4th and 5th places. Meanwhile, the number 28 car, Michael Vergers, gets some traffic problems as well, racing up and down the order. And let's listen in to the spotters, of course, the eyes and the ears of the drivers. They can't see behind, the spotters can.
Inside, car inside, another one following, you're still outside, car inside clear.
Peter Daly there, the voice of Michael Vergers' spotter, and John Mickle moving up the order. Just wonder if Vergers had a problem there, but side-by-side battles all the way through the field. Colin White now on John Stewart.
Well, this is the battle I really thought was going to start brewing for that 4th place, and it's Colin White now with the legs over John Stewart. Meanwhile, in the pits there, the number 7 car of Mike Luck, not his lucky day.
And a black flag about to be shown, a drive-through penalty for cars 2, 17 and 25. That's Sean Richardson in the Dartmouth car, Tony King in the Kent Pharmaceuticals car, and Ian McKellar Jr. second place at the moment.
Well, let's have another look. What's the black car of Ian McKellar Jr.? Yes, he took a track position before the line. So did the black and yellow car there, and the 17 of Tony King. And it's through the sin bin, a drive-through penalty.
The shark is a fish out of water. It's official. He's in pit road, followed by Ian McKellar Jr. in the 25. Skid Carrera about to be lapped by our race leader Stevie Hodgson, and now has got some breathing space.
Well, I was about to say that really has played into Stevie Hodgson's hands. Ian McKellar Jr. drive through the pit lane. He will not be happy with that, because he was making a very determined bid. And just look at the hand gestures inside that car. He is very angry indeed. But let's take another look.
Yeah, that's just highlighting there, Steve, the out of position. The cars are not allowed to drop to the low side on the racetrack until they've crossed the start-finish line. And if you start that manoeuvre, then you're deemed to be out of position, hence the drive-through.
Well, rules are rules, but what about this for racing on track? Colin White has charged his way through the field, and he's now really trading paint for third place with Anthony Swan. And what a run for Colin White. Started down the order on the 4th row of the starting grid, and here he is now battling for a podium position.
Tell you what, the young Swanee, the local driver from Corby, which is just literally a stone's throw from here at Rockingham, is there battling away, but he has to give good position to Colin White. So Colin White will pick up the position as Peter Faulding comes to pit road. Let's go down to join Helen. She's in pit lane and with something interesting.
What's going on now?
Yeah, he's coming. I think there's a problem with the differential of the car, and he says that when he's trying to put the power on, the back end is just coming right out in it. So if he says if he stays out any longer, you know, there's a chance we'll just destroy the car because it's so bad to drive. So we brought it in early, and maybe we can fix it and get him out for next race.
Well, there you hear it for Dave Scott, the crew chief on Tony King's car number 17. Meanwhile, into the pits this time around. And another problem for Ian McKellar Jr. trying to change the radio over on his car.
Yeah, as we were talking before, as also the Team Catchpole car. It's all happening here, Steve, isn't it? The Catchpole car being pushed away into the garage. That's bad news indeed for Phil Weaver. Skid Carrera being passed by Anthony Swan, who's now under pressure from Chris Cook. So battles all the way down through the order. It really is a feast of action here at Days of Thunder.
Well, it's action in the pit lane as well, because without a working radio, I don't think the officials are going to let Ian McKellar Jr. carry on.
Okay, well the guys are just about to come in for their pit stop, so we're going to take a quick commercial break. Coming up at the end of part 2, there's a competition for you to win tickets to come to Rockingham in October. There's a chance to meet Rachel Stevens. Get your pens and paper handy. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to part 2 of Days of Thunder from Rockingham. The pit stops are upon us, so let's hand you back to our commentary team.
Thanks, Helen. West, we're getting ready for Stevie Hodgson to dive to pit road. Here he comes. He's going to be followed by Ollie Playle, who's trying to gather some ground on Stevie Hodgson. That's good work from Ollie, because it means... Oh, and he's lost it!
Well, Ollie Playle throws it away in the pit lane, goes collecting the cones there. Oh, jams a couple of cones under the car. Now that is going to be a problem. They're going to have to get those cones out during the pit stop. And Stevie Hodgson there was braking for the pit lane speed limit. Ollie didn't seem to slow, and I wondered if he has a brake problem.
Well, I suspect, Steve, what he was trying to do was gather as much ground as he could on Stevie, because he knows that the Talk Speed crew are really quick on their pit stops. The West Tech boys have been improving all season. We've got the stopwatch on them here. Remember, 3 men over the wall, change 2 tyres on the outside as the air gun's thrown back from Hodgson's car about to leave.
Well, there you can see the battle of the pit crews. As you say, it's down to the guys in the pits. Now, don't forget, Ollie Playle lost some time with that spin. The stationary time is also what matters, and absolutely equal. Team West Tech and Talk Speed, the 2 local Corby-based teams here, both absolutely equal on those pit stops.
Quick glance there of Mark Proctor also getting service in pit road for his 2 tyres, but Stevie Hodgson just where he wants to be. Colin White, incidentally, not made his pit stop yet, so he's going to continue round. There are 2 options of laps to be able to stop, and so White will want to get past Ollie Playle, but he's bought there. No intention, I don't think, from Ollie there.
Well, no intention from Ollie. Meanwhile, the 66 car of John Mickle comes in. The 85 car rolls down pit lane as well, and that is the other Colin White motorsport car of Malcolm Klein, the Irish driver, one of the runners for the Rookie Award this season. And there you can see the NEC Aspire car of Michael Burgess already on its way through, as Colin White comes in 1 lap later than the rest.
That tyre changer plays basketball. He looked like he's thrown the air gun into a hoop, but look at this, Mickle and Burgess side by side. John Mickle had the momentum, I think, down pit road, because his pit box is much earlier, and that's why he's got past Burgess.
Now look at the clock again. This is going to be a comparative pit stop, I think, in terms of time to Ollie Playle. Or is it? Look at that. There's problems down there. And now they can get the car. No, they can't get the car away. There is a problem around that car, and they are also having to change the radio. Now, of course, you have to finish the pit stop. You're only allowed those 3 people over the wall, and you still can't go on. And that is another driver with a communications problem. Can't listen to his spotter from up in the pit lane gantry. Without that working radio, he cannot go and race.
No, must be in communication with the spotter at all times, and look at the damage that that's done to Colin. He's got a real mountain to climb now, but we can go down to pit lane and join Helen.
The pit actual tyre changer went fine, but Colin's radio was faulty, so we had to change his radio. So hopefully it's all okay now.
Well, Colin White lost nearly half a lap as a result of that, but more dramas. Look at this on the track, a piece of debris down at turn 2, fastest part of the track this. And that is a piece of one of those cones that Ollie Playle ran over. His car managed to get it halfway around the lap, then spat it out on the track.
Well, yellow flags flying here, 35 of the 60 laps completed. And here's the moment that Ollie spun coming into pit road, trying to gain some extra advantage. You can see there are 2 or 3 cones stuck under there, so it's per many 1 from 3, I think, Steve, including the one under the front balance.
You know, I keep looking at that, and something was not right with Ollie Playle's car at that point. Something spun his car. Oh, someone else has just picked that cone up and moved it just as the marshals had got there.
I'll tell you what wasn't right with his car. He was going too quick into the pit road. It was John Higgins, incidentally, there, who picked up the cone, but he's managed to spit it out and move it to turn 3.
Well, there you can see the safety vehicles clearing the debris, and a further black flag for Ian McKellar Jr. And I think that is, there you see, radio not working. If you can't hear your spotters, you can't race safely. If they can't get that radio working, McKellar is out of the race.
He is going to be absolutely furious, and, well, the body language says it all there, doesn't it? I think he might be a little bit confused as to why the black flag. The black flag, incidentally, if you're unfamiliar with those, means that you must report to race control and or their representative, and there's the spotters. Well, let's go down to Helen and find out what's going on.
Tell us what happened.
Well, we lost radio contact, so that's why we've been brought in. I couldn't hear no one. And I'm second on the grid, and they're saying I've jumped the start. To me, you can overtake on the start on the outside, and there's a car in front, so how can you jump the start when there's a car in front of you?
Well, let's have another look at that. And in fact, as you said earlier, Paul, it's a case of not the infringement of overtaking the cars in front of him. It's moving down the track to the inside before he reached the start-finish line.
Yeah, he must be fully past the start-finish line. This is a different type of start here. Single-file restarts we have in Days of Thunder, and Ollie Plail moves to protect us. He missed a gear there, I think. Anthony Swan goes round the outside. So too does John Mickle. Chris Cook gets brought behind, and that's really helped Colin White, because he's brought him back into the mix with that caution period.
Well, Colin White gets his nose alongside John Mickle in the Xerox car, and it's Colin White really on a move there. But Anthony Swan was another guy. Oh, we have dramas. That is John Stewart in the 75 car, the number 5 car of Rob Speake. Mark Proctor tied up in that as well. Stewart started that with a spin right across the front of Rob Speake. Whether there was earlier contact, I do not know, but 3 very badly damaged cars.
And John Stewart, of course, coming into this ninth round of the championship, lying in second in the championship. You can see he's already around there. Rob Speake tags him 2 on the way through. Mark Proctor, one of the unluckiest men, he gets down low, thinks he's got out the way, and unfortunately he was collected on the way through.
What happened, John?
I don't know. I think I was helped from behind.
What are those?
Yes, I don't know. Until I see the thing, I haven't got a clue.
Well, thankfully John Stewart is okay. 3 wrecked cars being brought back on trailers. Let's take another look at. There's Rob Speake, former world stock car champion. John Stewart himself a former world champion hot rod racer as well. And yeah, maybe contact, or maybe that car just stole the air from underneath. Now we get another restart then as the flag was waved green again. And again, Ollie Plail very slow away. Colin White and John Mickle go by the number 88 car there. And I do think, you know, we saw Ollie Plail spinning out. He's back up to speed now. That's a gearbox problem. He could not get third gear. And imagine if you're changing down coming into that pit lane earlier. That's why he's spun.
Well, you may be right, Steve. We'll keep an eye on that. Certainly has all the symptoms of being that kind of problem at the moment, though. Side by side, John Mickle and Chris Cook in contact between the two. Mickle goes around. Oh, Cook very hard into the wall. Ben Collins and Sean Richardson mercifully escape by going down low, but big impact on the restart, and it's that old phrase again.
Yeah, the Americans say it, yellow flags breed yellow flags. It bunches the field up. It gives us great close racing, but if any one of these drivers makes the slightest mistake, that is the result, and we've got the yellow flags yet again. Well, let's take another look at that. Well, their contact between Cook and Mickle. Mickle's 66 car did seem to move down the track, but that was a huge impact. Great avoiding action too by Ben Collins. Now, don't forget, we're listening to the spotters up in the gantry. The spotters tell their drivers where they're going, and I'm wondering if there was a communications problem there, because Mickle did not seem to know that that car was down his inside.
Well, speculation, there may have been contact between the two earlier on that we didn't see in turn 2, but Mickle called to pit lane, and that will be to check out that damage. Well, this is a story that's running. Helen's down with Paul Sims.
I think it's clear to see on the TV that Mickle came down on us. He knew we were there because at one stage we were right alongside him. So I don't know whether he decided to come down or whether his spotter told him to come down, but he definitely came down on us.
Well, let's take another look at this. There's John Mickle moving down the track, I've got to say. And John Mickle, one of the most experienced drivers out there. I am very, very surprised to see something like that. All credit to Mickle for trying to keep going after a hit like that on the wall, but quite rightly, of course, they have called him in for an inspection of the damage. And there, in fact, frantic taping up going on down in pit lane on the Xerox 66 car. And Mickle, well, they build that car strong. He's heading back out into the race, still on the lead lap as the flags go green.
He's going to get swamped by the field, though. We're on board with Anthony Swan. Just listen to the roar of that glorious V8 engine. All of these cars running with the same specification engine. That's what makes it so great. Well, meanwhile, more developments in pit lane. Let's go down and join Helen.
Is your tape holding up?
I hope it is, yeah. At the moment, the back of the car's still attached, but it didn't look very good as he came in. I think he's just lucky to save it out there, actually.
And what actually happened? Has he spoken to you?
I think the 8 car come up on the inside, made a dive for us, and just knocked us wide. I think the wall saved us from actually going round.
Well, there's always 2 stories in motor racing, and that was the crew chief for John Mickle. Meanwhile, this is the battle for second place. Behind race leader Stevie Hodgson, Anthony Swan, Colin White, and Ollie Plail still there, absolutely flat out. Ben Collins, what a drive he's had through the field. He's at the tail end of this group at the moment, but Anthony Swan is looking very strong indeed for a second place. Ollie Plail challenges Colin White, moves up into that third, and all of a sudden Colin White's getting shuffled to the tail of that pack.
It's been an eventful race for Colin White, you'd have to say that, but what a move by Ollie Plail. Now has Anthony Swan very firmly in his sights and moves to the inside. He's got that car so well dialed in as he comes off, and the white flag flies, which means there is one lap to go, and Colin White will look down the inside of Plale, but Plale closes the door very, very firmly.
Well, again, we're talking about the spotters here. The spotters still told Ollie Plale that he had an airspace behind him.
You think they're listening to spotters?
That is giving him real confidence to charge for it. Now, Colin White's had to back off because he's got Ben Collins harrying him. Now, Ben is a lap down, but is determined to make it a real grandstand finish for his sponsors in the Havilland 100. Meanwhile, at the head of the order, it's Stevie Hodgson already out of the final corner. This is the battle for second place. It's looking good for Anthony Swan for second. It's looking even better for Stevie Hodgson, who takes victory. And there is confirmation of the result. Stevie Hodgson from Anthony Swan, Ollie Plale third, Colin White fourth, John Higgins, the top rookie in fifth, ahead of Sean Richardson, Ben Collins and Michael Burgess.
Well, a brilliant run for Stevie Hodgson, brings the Monopoly car home to victory lane, and is he thrilled with that? The championship leader coming into round 9, and that does him the power of good.
Well done.
Thank you.
Not probably quite the way you wanted to win it, but it's still a win.
No, I mean, there were a lot of cautions at the end, and I don't know what for, but I mean, I didn't want to finish it under a caution. We want to finish under green, and we stomped the restart on the last one, and
Great race.
well done, mate. You know, and just a shame about the cautions, but Monopoly Talk Speed, you know, Chevrolet run awesome. Really run good. The team did a great job in the pit stops, and what can I ask for? Led most laps, 5 bonus points. Lead lap, 5 bonus points.
They okay?
They certainly do.
We had a few problems with the ECU, been playing up throughout the race. That's why we dropped off from the leaders at the beginning. The car was handling fine, but we just were lacking on power, so it was a hard fight towards the end. Luckily the yellows played into our hands as well, and I managed to hold the guys off at the end there, so yeah, it was a really good race.
When I come into pit lane, when I was second, I found out I had no third gear, so I shifted from fourth to third, nothing there, and then had to pull it into second, and the rear wheels just locked up, which made me spin, but luckily I got it going again.
Well, there are the points after round 9. A win for Hodgson, and crashes for Stewart and Mickle extend his championship lead. Ben Collins' drive from the back to 7th keeps him 4th, closer to the 2 ahead, and Colin White is now just 3 behind Mark Proctor.
There's music on the Smash Hit stage at each Days of Thunder event, and for your chance to see Rachel Stevens at Rockingham on the 3rd of October, just answer this question. Which band did Rachel used to be in? Was it A, the Spice Girls, B, S Club 7, or C, Steps? Call the number on the screen, and good luck! Well, there is Stevie Hodgson, a delighted Stevie Hodgson on the top of the podium.
So it wasn't a new face on the top step for race 9. Stevie Hodgson takes his second race win of the series and moves ever closer to winning the championship. That's just about it from us today. We'll see you again for more Days of Thunder next time. From us all, bye-bye.
More next Sunday at 7:25. Next on For the Proving Ground for Formula One is the British F3 Championship.